Hello, my name is America.
And my name is Gloria.
And this is Let's Talk About It podcast. Alright, guys.
So we decided to start this podcast because we both have strong opinions on political issues, social issues, and stuff like that. And we just felt like if we started a podcast, we could spread awareness and get the word out about stuff, things that have been happening recently, as far as racial injustice in America.
So we're first gonna be talking about Daunte Wright.
Yeah.
Definitely something that it's very, if you know about the information, it's very grueling, I would say.
Yeah, I definitely would say, I think that it's so funny because if, the police are, obviously supposed to be there to protect us. In elementary school and stuff like that, we learn how if there's an emergency, you call 911 and the police will come. And it's almost mind-boggling, if that's the phrase to even use, that the police are afraid of the citizens when the police are the authority.
Right.
So that's like the parent being afraid of the kid. How does that work?
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's something surprising, but at this point in life, it's not surprising anymore.
Yeah.
It's I feel like police officers, there's obviously a separation where it's as people of color and then the police not protecting them anymore. And it's something that just needs to end. This is something that we've been dealing with for a very long time.
Yeah.
And, at the Black Lives Matter protest for George Floyd, it got brought up again. And then this is where we're at now.
Police get trained to do, handle so many cases. And there's threat levels when it comes to police. The lower the threat is, the less, I guess, help or force a police officer would have to use. And the fact that you were afraid of a taser when you have a gun, you know how close you have to be to somebody to use a taser versus a gun. You still had the upper hand, but, you know.
First of all, if you can't tell a difference between a taser and a gun, you shouldn't be a police officer at all. I feel like when you're first starting training to be a police officer, they teach you that, and then it's also common sense.
Literally, you have a taser on you as a police officer, so how do you not know the difference between a taser and a gun?
I've also heard the gun is on the other side, and then the taser's on another side.
There's a TikTok. We'll insert the TikTok right now.
Dominant? Not so dominant. Huge weight difference, guys. I don't understand how we can mistake a taser for a gun or a gun for a taser. If you're in the heat of the moment and you do something like that, you shouldn't be doing this job. Because nobody likes a bad cop more than a good cop. I can tell you that straight up. I'm not going to put my life on the line to try and, fix your stupidity and deal with restoring the peace with my public that I serve just because of your stupid actions. It makes no sense. 99% of our job is communication. You don't got to be quick to pull out a gun or a taser on somebody and think everybody's a threat. Not everybody's a threat. Try talking to them. Get to know them people.
So if you're pointing the gun, you see clearly that it is a gun. I feel like the police officer, which is Kim Potter, I think she knew what she was doing, and in order to make excuses for herself and try to be proven not guilty, she just said that she thought it was a taser, which is obviously not the case.
But there is no excuse, because 26 years in the force, and
right.
If I'm working 26 years somewhere, I'm not even thinking about pulling out the gun, because I feel like I have enough experience to handle a situation like this. For some tags that were expired and a warrant, you need a gun for that? No, that could have been easily talked out. And then we're in the middle of a pandemic. The DMV is hard to get in.
Exactly.
Even if the tags were expired, okay.
They know we're in a pandemic.
Right. The police chief he stepped down, what was his name?
Chief Tim Gannon.
There we go.
Yeah.
He, in his press conference, they even brought up like the whole thing about the tags being expired and the DMV being backed up. And he said that all his officers and him as well were aware of it. But if you were aware of it, you still felt the need to pull somebody over. Like, it's petty.
Definitely. We're going to enter a clip of the interviewers asking him questions.
Why is it that police officers in the United States keep killing young black men and young black women far, far, far higher rate than they do white people?
I don't have an answer to that question.
In the midst of a pandemic, why was it a priority to pull someone over for expired tags?
And I don't know if that was a priority, but it was a violation that the officer observed and initiated a traffic stop.
Are you aware that there's a significant delay in getting tabs and things of this nature from the DMV? So even people who have purchased tabs are unable to get them because there's a 2 to 3 month backlog? And have you made any type of recommendations to your staff to be mindful that we're in the middle of a pandemic and don't pull people over for tabs, particularly because there is a significant delay in getting those tabs from the Department of Motor Vehicles? Are you aware of that?
I am aware of that. I am aware of that.
Is your staff aware of that?
Yes, they are.
But the interviewers were going in.
They were
on
going
him,
in.
which I feel like they should, because there's definitely a lot of answers that need to be explained. I get that a chief, you're supposed to, how do I say this? You don't want to say anything too harsh or anything, because
or something that might skew or alter the
right,
situation,
more opinions,
or contaminate
right. But I feel like some of the answers he was giving was just not
they weren't answers at all.
At all.
He was dodging the question, and he was nervous. There was a lot of you knew, and then all of a sudden now you're gonna decide to step out, and resign. Look, I don't have anything to do with the situation.
I get it. You know, when you're a police officer or in any type of job like that, you're a community, you work together, and you want to defend one another. But I look at it as this way, like, you're resigned now, so you can't speak out about this. And if you're not speaking out about this and bringing some sort of awareness, then you're just a part of the problem.
I agree with that 100%. As a police officer, you have a fiduciary responsibility to protect the people. As a police chief, you have a fiduciary responsibility not only to protect the people, but to make sure that your officers are in line, they're understanding the laws, the rules, the regulations, and doing the right thing to protect the people. And by him not holding her accountable, he was not doing his job. He was not holding up his fiduciary responsibility.
Yeah, essentially what she did was murder. And she just needs to pay for that. Because,
rightfully convicted.
Right, because I feel like we see this a lot. And it's the same excuses over and over again. And then the police officers don't get charged. And it's like a whatever thing. And this is not a whatever thing.
And we should not be giving people like this job. There's also police officers who have gotten caught for having a racist past. And I feel like if you have tweets, or you have had a hate crime case or something like that, you should automatically not be able to become an officer. Because how do I not know that you don't still feel the same? You can say you don't feel the same way, but how do I know that? How do I not know you're not going to go out and, commit more cases like this? I don't know that. So therefore, to prevent that, you just can't have a job here.
Right. It's like a bias thing, I feel like. It's definitely biased. And for all this money that goes into police, all this funding that goes into police workers and stuff, and they can't even do their job right. It's
ridiculous.
Really ridiculous.
Richard Okorogheye, he went missing, and the community police failed to help his mother and help his family look for him. And 2 weeks later, he was found dead in a nearby lake. When his mother reached out to the police to say that her son was missing, she was told that there was nothing that they could do about it, and since he was an adult, he could come and go as he pleased. And I get it. I understand that, yes, he's an adult, and when adults go missing, that's handled differently than when kids are going missing. But at the end of the day, a mother knows her child, and in this case, I feel like they really should have listened to the mother they could have waited the 24 hours or whatever the time limit was and then, started a search. But by telling a mother who's missing her child that there's nothing you can do about it when you're the police, again, the police have a fiduciary responsibility to protect the community, to help the community. You didn't even try. And now he's dead.
The police officer said, well, if you can't find him, then how can we find him? Like, isn't that your job?
Not as if they don't have the technology to find people.
Like, isn't that your job to help people?
Exactly.
And if a mother comes to you worried, saying her son is missing, I mean, isn't that your responsibility to be like, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, you like didn't even try. And now because of that, his body was found days later in a lake.
So now, not only is the family grieving, but now you have a case, 2 cases really, because one, you have to, do the case to find out what happened to him, how he was murdered, how he died, that. And now you have another case, because I'm sure the family's going to open a case with the police department, and, I would sue them. I'm sure they're going to sue them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they should. And I feel like those police officers that she went to should be fired.
Yeah,
because
of course.
You're not doing your job. What do you need to be a police officer for? It's so how can I explain this? Infuriating how it's like the response, if you're not like a lighter skin tone, if you're not white, they're not helping you.
Because racism is so like crazy to me, because you don't like someone because of the color of their skin, or you think you're better than someone because of the color of their skin, but we're all people. And how would they feel if their child went missing?
Exactly.
And no one helped. I hate to like say this, but if it had been like a white teenager that ran away from home, they would be like on police dogs out, search party, community, posters posted up, all this other stuff. But because it was a young black man, they figured, oh, he's just going to go and come as police. He's probably here. He's probably there. Well, don't assume anything. It's not safe to assume when you don't have information to back it up.
Right.
How can you come to a conclusion about something that you have no information about? This needs to be put in the hands, even though the federal justice system still sucks.
Yeah, for sure.
But they should take it as high as they can. Yeah, for sure.
It's tough to like see on the internet about this stuff, and then you want like a good outcome out of it, like, oh yeah, they found him, and then it's always like their bodies are found somewhere,
Yeah, it's never, they never come back alive.
Yeah, and it's because 19 years old, you know how young, like, he had his whole life ahead of him.
Like, didn't graduate college yet, didn't have a family, didn't have kids.
And I'm pretty sure the mom was going to the police like, he's missing, because he was probably a good kid that wasn't out like late at night.
Like I said, a mother knows her kids. If he was the type of kid to be out late at night doing drugs, doing stuff like that, I'm sure she would have gave it time before she called the police. Because again, like I said, a mother knows her kids, and he had to. I'm sure he was a very, very, very good kid, and that's why she freaked out when he went missing all of a sudden. Because I know my mom would freak out if I went missing all of a sudden, because I tell her where I'm at.
Yeah, same. Caron Nazario was pulled over because he didn't have his license plate.
He was pulled over because he didn't have a back tag.
Yes.
But he had just bought the car. So the back tag was in the window. And the police claimed that the windows were also too tinted because they couldn't see in. So that's why they decided to pull him over. And instead of, pulling to the side, as soon as the police signaled to pull him over, he drove about a mile down and went somewhere that was well lit, which as a black person, when we grow up, if you're black, your parents teach you, okay, this is what you do in this situation. And growing up, as soon as I got a car and I got a license, I had to go through the whole thing where it's like, if you get pulled over, this is what you do. And my mom and my dad told me, you don't ever pull over the car in a dark area if the police pull you over, because then they can get away with doing, some bad things. You always go somewhere where you see people or it's well lit, because it would be fatal to go somewhere where nobody can see you.
Yeah, and his tag was in the front window, and you can see that in the body cam footage. So I'm like, and for them to pepper spray him out of nowhere.
And he vocally expressed that he did not feel safe getting out of the car.
Right. And it was like the police officers were just setting him up. They were setting him up. They were telling him to do this, and he was doing them, but the police officers were acting like he wasn't doing them.
And the body cam footage caught all of this, caught the whole interaction.
Right, and now he's suing them,
and he's looking
to
get about $1 million, which
I feel like it's too little, but that's me.
Right.
Yeah.
I would sue them for all they got, but I mean, something's better than nothing, and I'm glad that he's going through with this case. And what makes this case all the more ironic for me is that he literally serves in the U.S. Army.
Exactly. There's like I don't want to say there's a superiority, but it's like the military is like up there, and then like cops are like middle type.
Right. The U.S. military, they serve our country so that we can have the freedom and the privileges as Americans that we have today. And I feel like for a cop to blatantly disrespect, and he was lieutenant too.
Yeah, he was.
Like for a cop to blatantly disrespect and, go so far to do the things that they did.
It just shows that they don't care.
It shows.
It doesn't matter what you do or who you are. If you are a colored person, they are immediately going to think you're doing something bad and are going to pull you over and point guns at you and pepper spray you, because that's just the type of people they are.
Growing up too, as Americans, we've always learned to respect like military and army.
Oh yeah,
and
sure. You would always thank them, like thank you for your service.
I know they grew up the same way, taught like respect the military, say thank you for your service, you know what I'm saying? And they didn't even like do that. Like, I just feel like that just makes it all the more worse.
Yeah, like racism is taught.
It is.
And I've never understood the whole concept of racism. Like, I always tell Gloria, like, why are people racist? Like, it's just another color. There's still people at the end of the day. So I never understood that, but I mean, not everybody is taught well. And then, there are some people that have racist parents, and then they grow up and they kind of educate themselves, and they're like, well, they're just people, and learn about stuff.
There's zero excuse to be ignorant, because we have the internet and stuff like that. And even if your parents are racist and you grew up hearing all these stereotypes and things that aren't true about people of color, there's school. You learn things in school. There's the internet. There's your friends. I'm sure you have friends or know people who are people of color who you can learn from. Like, there's just no reason to be ignorant. And I saw like a video of people like damaging Daunte Wright's like vigil. Is that what's called, the vigil, right?
Vigil?
Yeah. Where they put the candles up.
Oh,
it's a vigil,
okay.
like candlelight vigil.
Yeah.
So they were like damaging that because basically they felt like he was in the wrong, in the whole situation, that he deserved to die. Okay, you're racist. We got that. But now this person's dead, and if you at least need to have respect for the dead.
Yeah. Here's the thing. When it's something that the police officers do, there's always two sides, right? There's a side that's like, oh my God, the police should be arrested, defending the person that died, right? And demanding justice for that person. And then there's another side where it's like, well, he was in the wrong. And I hate that when stuff like that happens, they tend to bring up the past of the individual that died, and people were saying that he had a charge or something like that, but that's not an excuse just because for him to die.
Yeah, just because you commit a crime doesn't mean you should die. And I believe that. period. And I don't agree, that makes me not agree with the death penalty, because I think the death penalty should be abolished, but that's a whole other subject.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, people are people, but God put us on this earth, and he gave us free will. But just like God put us on this earth, he can take us out. Although man has the power to kill one another, they don't have the right to.
Right.
And I feel like, who am I to say this person should die because they did this? So as a cop, who are you to say you're going to die because you did this? Like that, no, one life doesn't cost more than another. Everyone is equal. Mm-hmm. Everyone's life is equal.
Yeah, it definitely shouldn't be an excuse.
When cases like this happen and there's racist people saying, well, he did this, so he deserved it. No.
Well, you're racist. So
you're racist. How are you a conservative and you believe in God and you're religious, but you're racist? And the Bible says to love all people. That doesn't make sense.
But the funny thing is, if you try to bring that up to them, you try to bring any facts to them, they're like, that's not right, that's not right.
I feel like they only use the parts of the Bible that help support their argument on certain things. Yeah. Like, for instance, infidelity and stuff like that. And I feel like they just ignore. They hear what they want to hear and see what they want to see.
They're not the brightest people, I will say.
They're not. There was a White Lives Matter protest this week. And it was in Huntington Beach. There was one on April 5th. And then there was one planned on April 18th.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know if it went through. So basically what happened was a group of people, we're assuming the KKK and other white supremacists.
White terrorist groups, basically.
Said that they were going to have a White Lives Matter protest at 1 p.m. Huntington Beach. And Black Lives Matter and anti-racist groups decided that they were going to...
pop up?
Yeah, crash the party, I guess. And they went at 11 a.m. So the two groups, once they saw each other, there were some things that happened. A lot of fighting. 3 people were arrested, which... funny enough, the first person they arrested was a black man
for a noise complaint.
For a noise complaint. But how are you arresting a black man for a noise complaint when you have a White Lives Matter protest?
It's so funny because Black Lives Matter was such a peaceful protest until the police
showed up. Yeah,
started shooting them with rubber bullets and pepper spraying everybody and just man tackling everybody. And saying, oh, this is a riot. No, it was a peaceful protest for George Floyd. And you guys made it into a riot. Now, what do you think the people are going to do after you're doing all these stuff? Do you think that people are just going to sit back and be like, well, we're not going to do it? No, we're obviously going to fight back because that's what it's all about, And when it comes to this situation with the White Lives Matter and the Capitol...
Mm-hmm.
Situation that happened, it was no police were interjecting with them. Not shooting rubber bullets, not man tackling them. They were just there, and I'm just see the privilege. It's so crazy to me, but I get it because police. I feel like, in my opinion, most police officers identify with them.
Identify with those groups. That's why they're not fighting back against it, because it's their cousins. No,
it's their family.
It's their family. Not only was reports of the Ku Klux Klan being there, but there was also anti-Nazi groups that were shouting, "Nazis go home." Donald Trump supporters
which
were
we
there,
all know,
and they were carrying around American flags.
First of all, okay, I don't understand. See. My opinion on this is I feel like white people are super threatened that they might get overpowered. And they know what people of color go through and they don't want to go through that either.
But it's not even but what they have to understand is no one wants to overpower you. We want to share the power. Equal. We want to be one.
Yeah.
And it's they can't.
They don't understand
because it's a superiority complex and they feel like they're better than everyone else. But... I feel like that superiority complex is slowly starting to deteriorate the more and more people of color make a change. And not only people of color, but white people who are for anti-racist groups, who are helping fight against it. is starting to break down those walls. And I think it's also like a generational thing. Like once these older generations die out,
once the meemaws and people,
meemaws and peepaws die out, I feel like it'll be better. There was just a case about a Texas high school who had a white group chat, a bunch of students in a white group chat who were putting prices on people of color at their school and selling them as slaves. Majority of those children being quote unquote sold black students. When the incident was brought to the attention of the principal said that it wasn't racist, but it was... He said that it wasn't racist, but it was racially ignited. For something to be racially ignited, it's racist. Yeah. Period. And I don't see how you can look past... I don't see how... So, I just don't understand how she doesn't see white students putting prices on black students and selling them, fake selling them through a group chat, not racist. When that's literally what would happen to our great-grandmothers, great-grandfathers. I would say ancestors, but it was literally not that many generations ago.
I feel like we see this a lot as well. I feel like that's why people are sometimes afraid to speak up, because they speak up to a teacher or principal per se, and they're like, well, it's nothing. And then they get caught. It gets more media, and they're like, well, we didn't know. And they make excuses for themselves. And it was like, the kids tell you, and you don't do anything until you get public attention. Like, they resign with that community. Like, and it's so awful that there's people that are teachers and police officers and work in that kind of
who are environment, supposed to be teaching the youth and protecting the community, that are the same people who are against everything your job is for.
Right. And again, it goes back to that racism being taught, because kids doing this, obviously their parents or their grandparents are doing stuff like this. Yeah, doing stuff like this and teaching them to think that this is right. But with all this being said, we definitely just want to inform you guys and not scare you guys or make you feel like you have to have the same opinions on us. Like, you can form your own opinions on everything we tell you guys on this podcast. But we're just here to inform you guys and help you guys, because not a lot of people see everything the way we see them. So yeah, that's it for our first
And
podcast.
If you guys want to read more about the situations, go more in depth, we'll leave the links to all the articles in the bio. The links, the TikToks will be in here, so you'll be able to see those for yourself. And
if any of these have like GoFundMe links, we'll definitely drop those as well if you guys want to donate and help these people. But
help any of the families. I know Daunte Wright has like a lot of
I've seen
things, to help his family. But also, if you want to be a guest on our podcast, you can email our email at letstalkaboutitpodcast702@gmail.com. It'll also be linked down below. You can follow our Instagram at Let's Talk About It Podcast with an S at the end.
And thank you guys so much for listening to our first ever podcast.